This is way better than we thought. Following what has been a crazy regular season thus far for the Toronto Blue Jays and coming off of a crazy trade deadline, some new information and new reports have dropped surrounding one particular player that is absolutely huge and is way better than a lot of fans initially thought. We're going to dive into that, but not only that, we have multiple huge Jays updates to go over today ahead of what's going to be the final game of the series against the Kansas City Royals tonight before they head off and play the Colorado Rockies in Colorado. And at the end of the video, we have some interesting things from Ross Atkins revealing the truth behind a lot of the moves he made at the trade deadline. Folks, it's going to be an action-packed episode, but before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage, you aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. You guys have been absolute beasts with the support. It truly means the world to myself. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers and the bigger goal of 25,000. Folks, a lot to go over today. Let's dive right into it. A bunch to go over, and I want to dive into some new information that has dropped surrounding a couple of key Blue Jays. And I want to start with the man himself, and it is a guy we've already seen play for the Jays in the couple days ago, Louis Verland. And I want to start with a couple of these tweets, and then I'm going to dive into some new, information that has dropped, some comments from Ross Atkins, because there's a lot to go over here. But Louis Verland, this acquisition is a lot better than fans initially thought. Of course, at the time of the acquisition of Verland, not every Jays fan knew exactly, knew a ton about him. He is unbelievable. And as the days have gone on since the trade, you can see here some tweets from some Twins fans have started to emerge, from reporters, from fans, from everything. You can see here the Verland trade is the most upsetting. Makes no sense considering his total salary, impressive relief work, and and multiple years of control. Another Twins fan. Remember that time long ago when the Twins coveted struggling starter Louis Verland, or converted rather, into a top-tier relief pitcher who they had control over, and then randomly management trading him for seemingly no reason? Couple, Twins fans going after it. And I bring this up for a very particular reason. This acquisition, the more you dive into it, the more you look at the advanced analytics, the eye test. We saw him pitch a couple days ago for the Jays. He is an absolute stud and way better than at least I thought, way better than I think a lot of Jays fans thought, because he is electric and the Jays managed to pull off a heist here. They robbed the MLB, but they got a reliever who could be a starter going forward, which we have some comments from Ross Atkins, for, again, a top 5 prospect in Kendry Rojas and Alan Rodin. But you never see a team like the Jays, or really any team, trade for a reliever with tons of control. And that's what they did with Louis Verland. A solid K rate, a minimal walk rate, an unbelievable ground ball rate. He throws 99 miles per hour. And the more that, you start to look at Louis Verland and how this Jays bullpen has really come together. And it's not just Louis Verland. Think about Sir Anthony Dominguez. He's looked electric in his time with the Jays. They got a reliever who now has a sub-2 ERA, under control for the foreseeable future, has upside as a starter, and has control till 2030 to 2031. Like, it is craziness. And Ross Atkins has came out and confirmed in the trade deadline press conference, and yesterday, the day before yesterday rather, they're willing to entertain him as a starter going forward. Not this year, maybe not even next year, maybe 2027 when he still has 3 years of control left. They got a guy, and it's just better than I thought. And I think a lot of fans now, especially over the past few days, have started to realize how impressive Louis Verland is. And a lot of that's due to the amount of Twins fans were outraged at the move, like literally outraged. They were upset. They were, whatever you want to call it. You can see here. Can someone explain the rationale behind trading a Minnesota native Louis Verland? The rest of these moves were salary dumps and were getting returns on players on short-term contracts. But Verland was inexpensive and under control long-term. The more fans, and again, usually seeing the other team's fan base, that's not always a great representation of if a move is good or bad. But when this many Twins fans, when their team was in complete purgatory and they were selling off everyone, when this many fans are upset about a move, including like reporters from the Minnesota Twins side, like reporters were baffled. A Minnesota Twins, the athletic reporter for the Twins, literally said, it doesn't make sense. Verland was highly coveted. He's a fantastic guy. And they figured he had more value than what the Jays had to give up. It was a robbery and way better than we thought. I just wanted to kind of dive into that because not a lot of people are talking about the, how upset the Twins fans were and how good this guy actually is and some of the backstory behind it. Because the initial, trade, we're just thinking, okay, it's not Griffin Jacks. It's not, Johan Duran, all these guys, Ryan Helsley. It's Louis Verland. And a lot of people are talking about Camilo Doval. You compare the two, like Verland's better in a lot of ways than Duval. I'm not going to say that he's going to be a better reliever going forward, but like the upside is there. And to see how far, Verland has come in the journey from a Twins fan's perspective, from all these other Twins fans' perspective, rather, makes things great as, for us, which is a Jays fan perspective. So I just want to dive into that, and let me know down below what your thoughts are on it, especially as information has started to come out. We've kind of settled now into that bullpen role. But let's dive into a few other things surrounding, Shane Bieber. And the reason I want to bring this up is because this move was also better than I thought, but we'll dive into it here. I covered this briefly yesterday. He's really happy where he's at. He's aiming for 5 innings and 70 to 75 pitches today. And that's why I want to bring it up. He's going to be pitching today with the hope to come back in, mid-August. And obviously, it's very, very solid. And you can see here for Ross Atkins, he said, what would the ultimate success for the Shane Bieber trade look like? And that's that he's pitching for us in the World Series. And he also said, beyond 2025, we're open. We're obviously extremely invested or interested rather, or we wouldn't have given up such a significant piece. For now, we're just focused on the impact this year. This is great because they are clearly focused on going after Shane Bieber in the offseason, I guess, if he opts out of his player option, to have a ace in theory for the foreseeable future with this team. And the upside for this move here is whether or not, they win the World Series this year, all that stuff. The Jays have the potential here to they got an ace at a discount price if he's healthy and everything works out. And then you can extend him and have the upper hand in extending an ace, a fairly young pitcher still, not like in his late 30s, in his early 30s, for the foreseeable future. And then all of a sudden, like the absolute best case scenario here, which isn't that far-fetched if he comes back healthy from Tommy John, which is more likely than it has been recently, you're looking at the Blue Jays for, a middling prospect, a very good one, but a middling one in Cal Steven on the grand scheme of things here. And overall, you got an ace caliber back for years to come. I love the move. It keeps, like, this one is the one that is obviously going to have to, the more he pitches for the Jays this year, the better it's going to get. If they can extend him after a great season, it's a jackpot, and it has jackpot upside. But to see Ross Atkins come out and say that, they want to extend him, and that, even Bieber saying he's happy to be here, he's going to be building up. His start today is going to be big, hopefully no setbacks, and that is exciting as well. And it kind of put a bow tie on the trade deadline. Ross Atkins did come out and say that he was willing to do more than they did. It just didn't line up at a price that made sense. Probably talking about the starting pitchers, some of the relief guys. I mean, the third prospect in baseball, the Padres gave up for Mason Miller. Like, the Jays weren't going to match a lot of these deals. I think, especially now after having a few days to kind of, absorb it all and reflect and get back on it, the Jays did really, really good at this deadline. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on that, folks. Let's dive into some more updates ahead of tonight's game. Tyler Heineman doesn't have any concussion symptoms, Schneider said, but the Blue Jays will see how he is tomorrow. Alejandro Kirk isn't DHing anymore in AAA yesterday to avoid any risk. He's coming to Toronto. So, like I said in yesterday's postgame video, he was supposed to be DHing last night and then coming to Toronto today. Ultimately, they're just skipping the DH, start, which is, thank God they're doing that, because I don't want to see any concussions or anything bad happen. We assume he's going to maybe start today or tomorrow. It's still kind of up in the air at this point. I would assume maybe it'll be for the Rockies series to make more sense. But regardless of that, Alejandro Kirk, actually, depending on how things work out now, because Heineman depends if he's starting, we're gonna have to see. But Kirk is gonna be joining Toronto today, so I would assume that he is gonna be active for today. But again, we'll see on that. And the better news here is that Tyler Heineman, of course, doesn't have any concussion symptoms. He's gonna be good to go. Hopefully, in the future at least, he's like the best backup catcher in baseball. Probably won't play today. We might see some Ali Sanchez. And looking ahead to a lot of these games, again, today's the final game against the Kansas City Royals. Beyond that, you're looking at a pretty busy stretch here. You have the Rockies, and then you have the Dodgers, both away, West Coast trip. Buck Martinez returning against the Dodgers. It's going to be a pretty tough month. Like, the Cubs are really good. The Rangers are fighting. The Pirates are bad. The Marlins are pretty good recently. The Twins are really bad, and the Brewers are really good. So it's going to be a tough month of August. You just have to hover. The Yankees are free-falling a little bit, a couple bad losses in a row. The Boston Red Sox are on an upward swing. Got to keep hovering. And the Jays, if they go 35-15, they'll set a Blue Jays record. You can kind of see some of the outlooks here. If they just go 500 the rest of the way, they're guaranteed a 90 wins, which should be good enough for a playoff spot. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on all this, folks. Ton of updates, ton of things happening. But at the end of the day, trade deadline's over. The Jays are rolling, and it's better than we thought.